Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be providing a market analysis update for Vechain. We're going to talk about this very important retest of the level right around 2.2 to 2.4 cents, which was the high from back here in 2020. We'll talk about some levels of support that we can look to, as well as Vechain's performance against Bitcoin by looking at the VET Bitcoin ratio, and the fact that this is actually setting up for a pretty nice longer term double bottom if we can have some follow through on this most recent retest of the support right around 95 Satoshis. So if you guys enjoyed the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, by the way, I will leave a link to my Twitter page in the description below. Feel free to go ahead and check that out as well. I'm fairly active over there with crypto content. So I do want to start off on the weekly chart and talk about this level again, ranging from 2.2 to 2.4 cents. When I zoom out here all the way, that is a very historically important level of support and resistance. That's basically the launch point from going back here to 2018. That gives us a first initial starting point, and then we saw that as strong resistance right here in 2020 on this big leg up in August, where we saw that hold as resistance, and from this point Vechain corrected pretty sharply over the next few months down to this local low under 1 cent. And then when we saw Vechain reclaim that level back here in January of 2021, it flipped it right into support, and then from that point Vechain really just went on to this parabolic advance for the all-time high in April of 2021. And we also saw this level act as strong support for several months back in this time frame during the summer months of 2022, and eventually we did get that breakdown right here in November. So going into today, we are seeing that retest again for the first time since that breakdown back in the beginning of November. So that represents a very significant move. And at this point, there's really two main outcomes that we can expect from this retest, which is either one, we do have a classic support and resistance flip, and then we start to see some sort of rejection where this area acts as supply, and we do see a breakdown coming back down to retest the lows in the next few weeks. The other scenario is a much more bullish scenario where we have some sort of breakout above this level, we flip it back into support, and then from this point, we could look at this entire move over the last few months as one big deviation and fake out where the price didn't actually accept below this level of resistance. And this would be the scenario where, from a technical perspective and just looking at it from the chart, you do have a quite bearish breakdown. You had months of support in this region, and then when we had the breakdown, that represented a significant move. And then when we didn't have any bearish continuation, and this really didn't amount to anything, at that case, when you do get a reclaim, that becomes very bullish. So it's just the failure of bears to progress if we can reclaim this level. And again, that is just one of these scenarios. Obviously, we could have a rejection. And I think either scenario entirely depends on what we see with Bitcoin unfold into the next few months. So for example, if Bitcoin is able to continue its relative strength into that $25,000 region, I think it's very, very, very likely that we're going to see that Vechain, like many other altcoins, is going to be sort of dragged up into that level above the resistance where it's going to be able to reclaim it, print this deviation, and give us a longer term bullish signal. Now, again, that is if Bitcoin is able to continue its relative strength, and I do think that is the more likely scenario because as I've discussed in many of my videos, I do see some bullish signs playing out for Bitcoin on the longer term time frame, such as reclaiming the 20-week moving average, such as getting that RSI to a higher high, such as giving us a lot of those momentum signals that we're looking for. So I think the altcoins are looking quite nice in this position because we do have a little bit more confidence restored in the market. I think investors are starting to look further out the risk curve, and that could really help altcoins sort of fuel this rally, get back above some of those levels of resistance. And for Vechain, again, that is the level from 2.2 to 2.4 cents. Now, beyond that, I also do want to look at some weekly moving averages. So we're going to look at the 20-week simple moving average and then the 21 weekly exponential moving average. So that is this band of resistance I have on this chart. And I say it's a band of resistance because over this entire bear market, we have seen Vechain reject off these levels time and time again. We had this move right here in March and April, very similar to what I was talking about earlier with a fake out where we had one candle closing above the moving averages, and then in the next week we had a close back under it. So basically the reverse, where we had a chart pattern that was theoretically bullish, but when it didn't actually amount to anything and there was no follow through, it became a bearish sign because it just looked like one big rejection. We also had a rejection right here in August coming up to these levels once again, and then the same thing in November, each time holding it as resistance. And Vechain has not had any sustainable moves above the moving averages since this time frame from back here in October of 2021. So well over a year now that we have been below these and averaging down, and that's very telling as to why this is such an important level. And we're seeing over the last few weeks where Vechain is actually coming back above this for the first time since that fake out in March. So that is a very significant move. And if we do see some follow through on that weekly chart where again, we have some continuation, potentially flipping these back into support on the event that maybe Bitcoin is holding from the $23,000 to $25,000 region, this would be a very bullish longer-term signal because we would have that in confluence with the reclaim of the resistance at 2.2 cents and then these moving averages as well. So that's something to pay attention to into the next few months for Vechain. If we do see a fake out similar to March, I would expect a retest of the lows right here around 1.5 cents. But again, not my primary view because I do think that Bitcoin is showing a lot of positive signs over the last few weeks with that longer term momentum. So I also do want to talk about the Vechain Bitcoin ratio, which is coming down to retest this support right around 95 Satoshis. That was the level that we saw all the way back here in December of 2019 act as strong resistance. From this point, we actually had a pretty harsh rejection. If I zoom out here, Vechain declined by about 66% in just the following 100 days or so. So a very strong interaction off this level. We saw this as support and resistance in December of 2020, and then we also acted as support right here in May with these two lows, forming the support at this zone once again, and we're coming back down to retest that. So at face value, when you look at this, there could be quite the argument for a double bottom if we can see some follow through and continuation to the upside on a bounce in the next few weeks, where we'd have two lows coming down to retest the same important level. And then from that point, if we do have a further continuation to take out some of these lower highs, then that could give us a longer term bottoming signal. If not, if we do have some sort of breakdown, then I would target the next level of support further down from here, which is going to be this level right around 60 Satoshis. You'll notice that was resistance back here in April of 2020, and then we flipped it into support on this retest back here in December of 2020. So I hope you guys did enjoy the content and analysis. By the way, make sure to check out my Twitter page. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.